Hey there, I'm Eric Word Weaver Sjerven, Goathie of the Ridgar folk here in East Texas. I'd like to welcome you to the Raven's Call. This is a show where I ramble on about heathen-related subjects as they pop into my mind, and I share a little bit about how this Goathie here in East Texas views heathenry today. Now, today's subject is going to be one that is not necessarily something that most people are willing to toe into. But you know what? I don't care. I'm going to toe into it anyway. This is the subject of ancestor worship versus racism within heathenry. All right. Now, this is not going to be an entire video dedicated to racism and heathenry. I plan to do one of those at one point in time, but I got a lot of big guns to bring to that one, and I want to take my time to do it right. No, today we're going to talk about specifically ancestor worship is not racism. Okay? Here's why. If you look at the definition of racism, it is making a decision based on the race of the individuals in play. Now, nowhere in heathenry, nowhere in ancestor veneration does race actually play a card. And by race, I mean skin color. Okay, let me make that explicitly clear. At no point in time has race within this context indicated, has ancestor veneration been tied to race. Because let me tell you, it doesn't matter whether they're white, whether they're black, whether they're mixed. It doesn't matter. Your ancestors are your ancestors. And here is why we venerate them. And I say venerate because it's not exactly worship. It's a veneration. It's an honoring. We gift to them so that they can continue to feed our lines with luck. But guess what? They've already given us the gift. They gave us the gift of our orlog. Our orlog is the sum of everything that came before us. All of their choices, all of their problems, all of their victories, all of that, cause and effect from the beginning of our family line to now. All of that led to us being right here, right now. And I mean every little thing. If my family had not come over to America when they did, if my parents hadn't made the decisions that they made regarding moving, like my grandfather moved from California to Texas when my dad was little, if he hadn't done that one thing, my life would be completely different because I'd be living in California growing up. My dad wouldn't have the job that he did growing up. My mom wouldn't have gone through the things that she did living here, which made the decisions that she did, like when she decided to go back to work. Things like that. These all impact and inform our lives. The people that we would have shared wyrd with there that impact our wyrd would have been different. So every single decision that your ancestors made led to your being here today. Some of them were big decisions that made big differences. Some of them were minor that didn't make a big difference at all. Except for some of those may have affected their lifespan without realizing it. Some of those may be butterfly effect kind of things, where little habits built into something that changed the course of their life without them even realizing it. Okay? Every decision, every action, every deed, active forces led to being where we are now. We are our deeds. I've talked on this before in another video. It is still true. Our actions and our deeds go into the well of wyrd. They inform our future. Our orlog informs our wyrd. And it's through that we live our lives towards our futures. Now, this is why we venerate our ancestors, because they made the decisions that led to our being here now. Were they all great? No. Absolutely not. Am I thrilled with the ancestors that I know of back from the time of conversion and how they handled that? No, I am not thrilled with that. But if they hadn't made the decisions that they made, my family might not have ended up where it is today. I might not have met my lovely lady. I may not have built the tribe that I know today. I have no idea what my life would be, but I know my life's not that bad. My life's actually pretty good. And I owe that to my ancestors, and I owe that to my own actions, my own wyrd, my own deeds in this life. I took the orlog that they gave me, and I built on it to make what I wanted it to be now. And this is where I am. This is the same for all of you. You inherited your orlog from your ancestors. It is through your deeds and through your actions that your wyrd shapes it and becomes the orlog, and things continue forward. So, we owe our ancestors our very lives, because if generations ago old so-and-so hadn't decided to get with you-know-who, an entire line of the family line would be gone. We just wouldn't be here. So, we owe our ancestors everything. Everything had to happen exactly as it happened in order for us to be here now. Is it always great? No. Sometimes we inherit poor orlog. Sometimes we inherit poor luck. It all depends on the individual. What they do with it going forward decides, the course of the rest of their lives. But orlog chooses the starting point. And this we owe to our ancestors. Now, in all of this, I have been talking about active forces. I have been talking about deeds, actions, decisions, words. At no point in time am I focused on passives. At no point in time am I talking about demographics. I'm talking about family lines. I'm talking about so-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so. And guess what? That's all active force. That's all choice. Passives don't matter in any of this. Because look back at the actions. Look at the decisions that our ancestors made. All right? Like, let's go in recent history. When my grandfather decided to move from California to Texas, he made a decision based on the needs of his family. Now, he may have intended, may even wanted to eventually have moved back to, say, South Dakota, where the rest of the family is, or Minnesota, where another branch is at. He may have intended to do that. He may have wanted to do that at one point in time. But guess what? He never did. The actions that he made, that he chose, that he did, kept us here in Texas. Built a family business, and here we are. So, intentions don't matter. Wants and dreams don't pay out. Actions and deeds, that's where it's at. That's what matters. Active forces. That is what goes into the well of wyrd. What we actualize, what we give energy and force to, what we create. Because creation is that spark of the divine that comes from our world, from that point of inner divine madness. That is our gift from the sacred. That is how they communicate through to us. So, it's through active forces that we feed back into the well of wyrd. It is not through passives. It's not through descriptions. Does it matter anywhere in there if my ancestors had blue eyes? Not really. Not really. Does it matter what color hair they had? Not really. Not really. The only times those passives matter is when somebody takes action based on them because they take umbrage. If somebody took action against one of my ancestors because he had, say, red hair, and that was a thing back in the day. Redheads were not thought of well. Somebody took action against them, and they had to make a decision and action on how to respond back. It's not even the hair color that made the difference right there. It was the aggression from the other individual and the response from my own ancestor. Not that that actually occurred, but the essence here is that the passive is superfluous. It is not what actually matters in relation to wyrd. Okay? The passives, the color of your skin, the color of your hair, all of these things. Accidents of genetics. It doesn't matter. It's a token that you can carry on. Yes, it's cool. It's cool to be able to look back and say, this is a token of my family line. We tend to have hazel eyes, or, the flash of red, like red in my beard. I get that from my dad's side. My brother has it as well. Certain aspects of my body build come from my mom's side of things. I'm very much built like my grandfather on my mom's side. That's cool to me. That's neat. The whole barrel chest thing is a gift from my grandfather, my granddaddy. So, these things are indeed tags of our direct lineage. But guess what? It's our direct lineage. All right? Even my white skin. Okay? Yes, I know. I'm a white boy. My white skin comes from my ancestors specifically. Okay? I'm back. What does that do for me when it comes to white boy number 2 down the road? absolutely nothing because we have nothing in common. He's not heathen. He's not of my Inengard. He's not of my family line. He's nothing to me. We share no wyrd. Now, the black guy that I work with up at work, guess what? He and I share a lot of wyrd because we've been through the trenches together. We know each other. We've been through thick and thin. Skin color doesn't matter. Actions and deeds matter. That's where it's at. So when it comes to ancestor veneration, what are you going to do as a heathen if you have an ancestor who wasn't necessarily white? Because guess what? Especially during the Viking era, when our ancestors liked to go out and raid and things like that, they didn't exactly always bring back the white ones, if you know what I mean. Even in later generations. I know heathens that have mixed backgrounds. Heck, I'm not even 100% sure on what my background is. I don't know. I don't care. I care about who my family is and the decisions and actions they made. Skin color doesn't matter in the slightest. And it frustrates me to no end when I hear heathens out there that try and talk about heathenry as a white religion. When they talk about honoring the white folk. You guys are missing the boat, and it pisses me off. That is not what this is about. That is not what this has ever been about. Our ancestors didn't focus on race. Our ancestors were trying to eat and survive. They focused on the people that mattered to them because those people kept them alive. Those people were there for them in the thick and in the thin. And if they had had someone from the south or from the east who looked different but was there for them and then built that wyrd, built that frith, and was reliable and there when it mattered most, I guarantee you that they would favor that individual over someone of the same skin color because that didn't matter. Skin color didn't keep you alive, it didn't feed you. All right? This is something that we have made up in modern times because in the absence of tribe, when tribe broke down, Western society has worked to break down tribe. Significantly over the years, worked to break down tribe. And when tribe broke down, people sought to fill that gap by creating artificial tribe. But they didn't understand it. And so they rally around the obvious. Instead of rallying around the things that matter, frith, action, deeds, they rally around the blatant looks. Look at high school. I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's high school level antics. The jocks hung together. The pretty people hung together. The outcasts all kind of looked the same. The goth kids all kind of looked the same. Guess what? It was stupid then, it's stupid now. The reason the kids do it is because they're developing and they're trying to understand. They're trying to grasp complex issues and subjects that their brains are only now capable of processing. Yes, I do have a background in psychology. That is why I understand all the human growth and development aspects. Don't worry about it. These are grown adults I'm talking about that are out there thinking that skin color plays some kind of an issue. Let me tell you right now, most of the issue that these individuals have with skin color isn't even about skin color. It's about culture, and they don't even know the words to describe it, so they focus on the passive as opposed to focusing on the active actions that come out of a culture like that, which they have issue with. Cultures clash. It happens. Not all cultures get along. There are so many cultures within each race that guess what? You can't even call an individual race culture in a country a race culture, like white culture. There's no such thing. There is no such thing as white culture. I guarantee it. Go to the trailer park, okay? Talk to some guys in the trailer park. Blue-collar worker who's barely getting by, who is having to deal with all kinds of stuff, all right? He's having to deal with the meth cooker down the road. He's having to deal with the gang heads across the street. He's having to deal with all these things. Living in a trailer house, trying to keep his family safe and trying to keep food on the table. He's got a rough go of it. His culture is going to be very, 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 very different than guy over in Dallas who came from a good background, who made good choices with his life, and is, not that this guy didn't make good choices with his life, he's doing the best he has with what he's got. And he's proud of it, and he should be proud of it because he's done damn well for himself. But this guy over here, Mr. Lawyer Man, has done the same thing, but his culture is very different. He's gonna think about things differently. He's gonna do different things. Manners, mannerisms are all gonna be different based on culture. This is just here. This is within 100 miles of each other. When you talk about white guy from rural Texas versus white guy in Minnesota versus either of the coasts, I don't care. Take your pick. Throw in Europe. Let's talk about culture. Culture varies. Culture differs. We're gonna clash. Race doesn't have a part of that. You know, it doesn't. Like people talk about Black America. Guess what, guys? There is no Black American culture. There's not. There's overarching commonalities, sure, but it's not enough to call it a culture because there are so many microcultures, so many actual cultures within that, because culture is localized. It is not a grand scale thing. Culture is localized. It is localized to the actual people, the actual interactions, and the actual deeds. So, what most of these people have issues with are culture clashes. And a lot of it's propaganda and BS and misinformation, misdefined words that have come from their ancestors. It's inherited orlog. And it's sad. And it's something that we need to work around because in heathenry, there is no place for this. There was no place for it back in the day. Attempts to interject it in recent history are not working. What you're creating is something that is not heathenry. I'm not sure what it is, but it ain't heathenry. You can use all the words, hail the gods and goddesses, whatever. But it's not heathenry. You're not focusing on what heathens focus on. Actions, deeds, actual meaningful things. All right? If a man betrays me and means harm to my Enengard, I don't care what color his skin is. I don't care what country he's from. He's cast out. I will defend my Enengard from him regardless of race, creed, color, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the color of the individual. If they prove their worth to me through deed and action, that's what matters. So, let's bring it back to point because I got off on a tangent. Ancestor worship is different from the racism aspect. All right? I've laid all of this out. So here, let me drive it home. Ancestor worship is about the actual individuals of our lines. It's not about race. It's about the deeds and actions of these individuals. It's okay to be proud of your family line. It's okay to be proud of the people you come from because they made the decisions, they did the things, they did the actions. That's good, that's strong, that's true. That's something you can be proud of because it's something that's active, it's something that's done. You cannot be proud of a passive. What is there to take pride in there? It doesn't tie you to anyone. So, pride in ancestors, pride in where we come from, our people, that's great. But don't create false kinships. Don't assume because all of our ancestors are of a certain color. One, that's an assumption that you may be horribly, horribly wrong about. Because I can't go back and verify it all. I don't know. I don't care to. Ancestor worship is about honoring where we came from and focusing on where we're going and trying to do good things and leave good orlog for our future generations. It is about bringing honor to the family name. It is about building a future for our clans and for our tribes. None of that has to do with race. None of it. It doesn't matter. Yes, my ancestors worshipped the old gods. You could get into the whole, ancestral ties. You have to have some of the blood to be a heathen. Whatever. My belief is that the gods and goddesses created this world. They created all of the world. They created Midgard. I don't have some half-assed idea of religion wherein, Odin didn't create them because... Forget about that. What are you talking about? Yes, it's entirely possible that multiple gods existed. I'm a hard polytheist. It's entirely possible that their gods are as real as my gods. But I don't know that. I believe in my gods. I interact with my gods. And my belief is that my gods created this entire world. That includes all of the other colors and creeds and everything else that goes into it. Is it perfect? No. And as I've explained before, I believe that Midgard, which our gods created, is our entire plane of reality. Not just Earth, which means there could be alien races out there that are also products of the gods. Because who are we? Who are we to put on to the gods what they believe and what they do and what they value? Who are we to say who our gods can take as followers? That is folly. That is vanity. No. If I see somebody that says they follow Odin, follow the old gods, and they're of a different color, guess what? I'm going to let them do what they do. Because I'm going to see what they do. I'm going to see the actions they do. I'm going to see what they bring to the table. I'm going to judge them by their actions and their deeds, which is actually what matters. Okay? But they don't have any the blood. Who cares whether they have the blood or not? What is this the blood stuff? There is no the blood. There's no heathen bloodline to go back to. Heathenry is a belief. It is a culture. It has nothing to do with the specific bloodline. We honor our ancestors because our ancestors are where we came from. We honor our gods because we believe in the gods and we wish to build ties with their tribe. We wish to seek the blessing of the gods. Do I necessarily honor the gods because my ancestors worshipped the gods? No, I worship the gods because I believe in the gods. That is between my tribe and the gods. I keep my tribe good with the gods. Because guess what? A large percentage in recent history of my ancestors did not worship the gods. They worshiped the usurper from the south. And there's nothing I can do about that, but it's orlog that I've inherited. And so I will go through and I will try and build a tribe going forward that honors the gods, the true gods in my eyes. This is where we focus on deeds. We focus on actions. You do not mistake where the relationships come from either. We honor the gods directly. And I honor my ancestors not because they honored the gods, but I honor my ancestors because without them I wouldn't be here. And it doesn't matter where they came from. It doesn't matter what color they are, what nationality they are. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. Even my Christian ancestors. Without them, I wouldn't be here. So I owe them my life. Ancestor veneration is not racism. It is not about race at all. It is about honoring specifically the deeds and actions that led to your being here. It is not about race, it's about history. It is about your history, regardless of race, any of that. Because what if you come from a mixed background? Or you honestly have to be tied to the gods of those that came before you? How can you do that when you've got, one family line that worshipped one way and one family line that worshipped another, but here you are an amalgamation in the middle? What do you do with that? It's not about the blood, people. It's about the choices. It's about the deeds. It's about the actions. It's worth, not birth. It's not what color you were born. It's what you do, the actions that you do. Deeds, not race. Ancestors. We worship our ancestors because we wouldn't be here without them. So this is a tirade that I've gone on for long enough. I know I'm going to piss off a lot of folks out there, and I know which ones you are. Sorry about that, guys. This is how I see things. This is how I lay things out. When it comes to the folk way, it comes to heathenry. I want to judge them by their deeds and their actions. And if they want to honor their ancestors, regardless of where they came from, bully for them, because that's what it's about. Honor your ancestors, honor the sacred, honor the spiritual, honor your folk. Sacred, spiritual, and cultural. Honor those three things. Who am I to say who the gods can and cannot take as their followers? I don't have that ability. I don't have that power. It's not in me. It's not my responsibility. It's not yours either. Focus on your own end in God. Focus on your own tribe. Don't worry about other people. Honor your own ancestors, because without them you wouldn't be here. And just remember, it doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what nationality they are. It matters what they did and what they chose. How they acted in life brought you here. Your physical appearance, those are just tokens. That's a pass along. If anything, it speaks specifically to the genetics of your specific family, not to anything else, not to ties to anyone else. Because even if you were to go back far enough to find some distant ancestor, if you were to walk up to me, look at me, and be like, hey, we're both related through, say, the Harold Fairhair dynasty, and, we're distant cousins 20,000 times removed, guess what? That makes you nothing to me. We don't have any wyrd shared. We're not family. Family means something. Not this false kinship. So, I've rambled on for about a half hour now. I'm going to let this go, guys. I can keep going forever. But this is where I stand, and this is something that I think a lot of people need to hear, and nobody's going to listen to this whole video. So, for those of you that have made it to the end, bully for you. Awesome. Hail. Give a like to the channel if you actually enjoyed or stayed through this whole thing. Subscribe if you want to hear more of my absolute off there ramblings, and then leave some comments in the section below. Check me out on Facebook at Word Weaver Productions, and in the meantime, have a good day. Hail.